Fans are shocked by what they just witnessed, and the internet is in flames. A shocking video has gone viral that shows Jim Jones's longtime partner, Chrissy Lampkin, having a private encounter with none other than Camron. The two can be seen leaning close, whispering, and laughing in a dimly lit VIP section. The video is blurry, but it's undeniable, and after watching it, Jim Jones reportedly lost all control. He even attacked Camron in a violent altercation at the studio, according to witnesses. The atmosphere was weird the moment he walked in. He just swung without saying anything, and chairs were smashed over, fists flew, and someone's phone recorded the entire altercation. This video is now going viral, adding fuel to the fire and sparking intense debates on social media. Was Chrissy cheating on you? Did Camron go too far? Or is there more to this story than meets the eye? The streets of Harlem have never seemed colder, and loyalties are being tested. And emotions are running high because this scandal is far from over. A grainy video clip began going viral on all platforms and was shared widely within hours. The blurry video showed Chrissy Lampkin sitting far too close to Camron in what looked like a dimly lit lounge. The body language was familiar and intimate, and it immediately raised suspicions. While Camron muttered something into her ear that made her smile in a way that fans hadn't seen in years, Chrissy moved in and gently touched Cam's leg. The camera caught her placing her hand on his chest for a moment, but it was enough to light the match that would set everything on fire. When Jim Jones first saw the footage, he was at home. He stopped mid-scroll, stared at the screen in shock, and replayed it 3 times before throwing his phone across the room. According to those close to him, he remained silent. He just got up and left the house, going missing for several hours. His face looked like he hadn't slept, and his eyes were red when he returned. The title was simple but powerful: Chrissy, caught on camera with Camron. The internet instantly descended into full-blown chaos. Seeing the woman he had been faithful to for so long become friendly with one of his closest friends and sometimes enemies was too painful to describe. And the worst part was that there was more to this rumor than first glanced. It was caught on camera this time, and Jim couldn't help but notice the street conversation. The internet was ablaze overnight, with fan reactions flooding Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter in every major city. Hashtags like Sun and Jim v Cam and Sun and Chrissy exposed became popular, as did moments from reality shows where Chrissy and Cam seemed to share. People were drawing connections between seemingly unrelated ideas and formulating theories based on their analysis of body language from a 10-year-old video, but the story was already written. Something that Chrissy and Camron had been hiding was suddenly visible, but Jim was falling while fans speculated. Insiders claimed that he paced his house all night long, playing the video over and over again, trying to figure out what went wrong. Suspiciously flirtatious energy and comments from Cam that had previously seemed harmless, but now felt like hints that everyone missed, began to reappear in old videos. When things started to get out of control, Jim Jones called his mother, Nancy Jones, and allegedly told her, "Ma, I don't even know who she is anymore." Nancy didn't hesitate because she was always protective of her son. "Baby, you have to face this head-on. Don't let them manipulate you in this way." Jim Jones stopped posting anything online the following day. There were no posts, no stories, and no responses. Fans started to be concerned that he might be planning a big move. In the background, Jim was trying to get in touch with Camron. He texted him and called him, but there was no answer. According to one of Jim's close friends, at first he wasn't even upset with Chrissy. All he wanted from Cam was answers. For instance, the silence from Camron was overwhelming. He appeared to be acting as if the whole thing didn't exist, which made Jim more and more irate. After 2 days, everything exploded again. A screenshot of Camron's private direct box message was obtained, in which, according to insiders, Jim Jones lost it when he saw the post, saying, "We need to talk." He grabbed his car keys and called up a few of his people in person. But this was not going to be a discussion Yanam. He responded to a fan with the humorous comment, "Lo Jim acting like I stole his girl." She developed and started tagging Jim right away, and the post went viral within minutes. According to witnesses, Camron was working that day. His manager, his assistant, and even Chrissy called to try to stop him, but he was ignoring them. One source claims that he had that look in his eyes as if he were about to do something irrevocable. Jim didn't even knock when he got to the studio. He hurried inside after pushing the door open. Camron was joking with several friends during a session, completely unaware of what was about to happen. Jim approached Cam, struck him in the jaw without saying anything, and then left. The room fell silent and chaos ensued. "Hey, what the hell is wrong with you?" said a stunned Cam, but Jim wasn't done. "Do you think this is funny?" He grabbed Cam by the shirt and yelled, "You think you can make fun of me like this online?" Jim punched him again when Cam tried to push him away. Even after two of Cam's boys were able to get Jim off, he kept shouting, "I had faith in you. I took you into my house and you're paying me back like this." Security came quickly and broke them up, but the damage was already done. Part of. The fight was caught on camera by someone in the room, and it was immediately shared online, much like Chrissy's video went viral. Jim and Cam's fight was now playing repeatedly on all screens, leaving fans stunned. Some accused Camron, while others said Jim overreacted. One thing, though, was widely accepted. The Dipset Jim wasn't done, though, even after the fight. A few hours later, his eyes still burning with rage and his lips slightly busted. He went live on Instagram and declared, "I'm not a clown," saying devotion beyond all else if yom cross virtue over. Regardless of whether you were my first. The comments section exploded with supporters using fire symbols, loving emojis, and the phrase he's speaking. Facts. Chrissy, on the other hand, had not yet spoken and had even stopped talking, which made the rumors worse. What hide she hide and why hadn't she denied anything? As the video of the fight went viral, more questions started to arise, such as how long had this been going on? Was it a one-off event or something more serious? And why would Camron risk everything for a fleeting encounter with Chrissy, including his relationship and... The industry began to react as the smoke from Jim Jones and Camron's violent altercation began to clear outlets. And influencers could not get enough of it. Everyone was sharing the fight videos and making predictions about what would happen next. What would Chrissy say most importantly if she finally spoke up? Jim Jones had given up looking for answers and had already made up his mind that they had both cheated on him. And the world now knew it. Fans were starting to criticize her, saying that the video was louder than her silence. They wanted an explanation, at the very least an admission or a denial. But to make things worse, Chrissy had vanished from the public eye. Camron was trying to play damage control in the meantime, posting a video of himself laughing with his team on his account. This was a full-fledged scandal that was spreading like wildfire within the inner circle of hip-hop. Voice, nay voice, ease. Chris's S remained silent amid all of this confusion. Within a day of the altercation, he played it down as though it had all been a simple mistake. "Do you guys really believe what you see online?" He smirked as he said, "Dude, family, come on. This isn't that profound." But the fans didn't believe it because of the facial bruises. Clown emoticons and images of snakes were common in the comment sections. He was being criticized for breaking the sacred code of fraternity, and once Jim Jones made it public, there was no turning back. Chrissy's downward spiral was taking place behind closed doors, and she was completely overwhelmed by the criticism. According to a source close to her, she didn't think the video would go viral and thought it was making music, but the lyrics were more grim and angular. Later, he shared some excerpts that included lines like, "Trust no soul, not even the ones you lay with. And they grinned as they stabbed me in the back." He was clearly attempting to release the tension in the booth, but music couldn't hide the storm that was brewing inside of him. Mona Scott Young was in full crisis mode. We must get camera. On camera.a, we're going to show every moment of it if they're disintegrating. The hip-hop and romance producer told her staff, trying to capitalize on the hype. Behind the scenes, she knew that this drama had the potential to either ruin everything or create the most memorable plot in the franchise's history. She also requested raw footage, exclusive interviews, and anything else she could. Meetings were arranged appropriately, and discussions were held on a live reunion event that would feature Jim and Chrissy. You want perspective? Perspective. Correct? At first, Chrissy refused to sign off, feeling taken advantage of and ashamed. She was against facing Jim on national television. However, Mona was adept at playing the right notes, and Camron face-to-face in front of the Globe was discussing gold ratings. You want the truth, not just rumors, to be heard, I remarked, and she agreed. After some hesitation, Chrissy agreed, but only if Camron was also present. She didn't want to face the heat alone, so Cam, the showman, didn't hesitate to take advantage of the situation. He said, "Let's clarify. The air.r, let's provide drama to those who desire it." Tickets for the live specials sold out within hours after it was revealed that all three would be appearing outside the studio. Supporters were camped and bloggers were scheduling interviews. Everyone was excited to see that Jim was preparing behind the scenes as well, but his motivations had nothing to do with ratings or redemption. He wanted to deal with them both directly and communicate everything he couldn't communicate through phone calls or fists. "I'm walking pain, it pain N, but I'm walking out with peace," he told his manager, whatever that might be. Tensions were very high on the day of the taping. The grassy areas were divided, security was doubled, and there was a lot of unease in the air. Chrissy appeared backstage with heavy as the cameras began to film. The host greeted everyone and got straight to the point. "Let's start with you, Jim. What would you like to say to Cam and Chrissy today?" Jim's jaw tensed as he glanced at Chrissy and then at Cam. She looked shocked but determined. Cam arrived, laughing and making jokes with the staff as if nothing was wrong. Jim entered in silence. His stone face begged for moderation. The room fell silent as the three sat down opposite one another in front of the glaring studio lights. Chrissy started to respond, but he cut her off with a husky yet quiet voice, adding, "I trusted y'all for many years, everything, and you dismissed that as if it had no significance. I gave my heart to you. I pledged my allegiance to you, and you slapped me across the face." Leaning forward, Cam tried to see, "Look, why? Look, K-dude, that wasn't the case." Even though the host did her best to steer the conversation in a healing direction, the harm was evident. It just happened when Jim wasn't having it. Brothers don't have comp feelings so difficult. Difficult, filthy the audience. Gasped. Finally, Chrissy's voice cracked, spoke to him, "Poke Jim, I never intended to cause harm. Any harm, I promise. This was not how it was intended to happen." Her remarks, unreal. Unreal, too late, too little. As the episode progressed and each person recounted their story, it became evident that this was more than just a failed love triangle. As the episode progressed, there was too much tension in the room and Jim Jones's eyes were filled with grief and betrayal as he looked at Chrissy. Chrissy found it difficult to look him in the eyes because of the weight of her guilt. Millions of viewers at home, as well as the crowd and cameras, were impatiently waiting for the next shocking revelation. It was clear that this was a turning point for everyone, and that this was not just another reality TV scene. The host, eager to regain control, urged Camron to speak up just as the tension was about to blow up. "Where are you in this situation, Cam? Things between Jim and Chrissy seem to have gotten worse because of your actions." Camron leaned back in his chair and said, "Why doesn't anyone escalate anything?" It all comes down to the host continued to impress, saying, "However, this isn't only sentiments. Time NTSRU and Chrissy Cam. The two of you were fairly close, but Jim is now calling it nasty. What are your thoughts, T. Camron? Me perception, Eption dude, he added with a casual shrug. Chrissy's feelings were hurt, Jim's were hurt, and mine were hurt. Leaning forward as his smirk faded a bit, he said, I know I do. But what you all don't understand is that people do sometimes drift apart. Things shift, emotions change, and what may have existed in the past is no longer there. He paused and turned to face Chrissy, and her hands trembled slightly as her face turned white. Cam, this is more than simply life. This is treachery, she muttered. You know that what Jim and I shared was real. It wasn't just I'm not saying it's simple, but Cameron's tone changed as he said, I'm not saying it was right, but I'm arguing. That unavoidable edible, there's no turning now. CK now sometimes life forces you to go in annex directions, tions. But you have to go wit flow, double quotes, low. Passing fancy, this was crucial. And now I've ruined everything for what even Camron appeared to soften at her comments, demonstrating the raw grief in her voice. The audience gasped as the studio lights flickered. You didn't intend for this to end tway? When no Cam. This is what you wanted, Ed. You want everything. Ing and succeeded, Ed. Now have a peek at us. Take a look at your actions, Jim said, his voice rising as he said, You took my woman, my friend. And you made it into a joke. His isn't your typical reality show. TS how is the actual world. Go here and act like I didn't see this coming even. If I didn't want this to end this way. In spite of the host's best efforts to defuse the situation, it was clear that harm had been done. Jim, do you think that a reconciliation is possible? Is this irreparable? And it be? As Chrissy looked down at her hands, the weight of Jim's comments began to weigh on her. She couldn't look him in the eyes. How had they come to this point? How had the relationship changed from one of love to this? From their shared past to this devastating moment? She just knew that it was her fault and she had no answers. I'm not sure, he murmured, tightening his hands at his sides. Fixed Jim took a long breath and let it out slowly, as if he was trying to contain his emotions. In a gentler tone, Chrissy's eyes started to flood up with tears as she asked, When everything you've ever believed in breaks, what do you do when you are deceived in the worst way by both your girlfriend and your closest friend? Will you ever be able to trust them again? She shook her voice, but it was too late. The audience was unsure of who to support. Some were on Jim's side, while others were on Chrissy's. Nevertheless, it was impossible to ignore the emotional destruction that was on display. Even the most cynical observers were troubled by the situation, and Camron remained silent for a while, allowing Jim and Chrissy's tears to flow. Please believe me, Jim. I didn't mean to hurt you. I couldn't manage it, even though I thought I could. Asterisk feelings to surface. He spoke in a firm but composed tone, saying, Dude, I really understand, but this is not something that needs to be fixed by me. You two need to talk and work things out because this is no longer my battle, and I'm leaving. He then got up, straightened his jacket, and left the set, leaving Jim and Chrissy alone. The host addressed the audience as the cameras continued to roll. What we've seen today is turn away, but only time would tell. As Jim Jones and Camron's argument became more intense, the media's obsession with the drama intensified. And the story seemed to take a different turn every day, with new information leaking out and emotions erupting. Normally a reserved person, Jim began to publicly vent his frustrations, and his supporters, who had supported him through all the turmoil, began to worry that things were getting out of control, that the friendship between Jim and Camron was over, and that everything they had built would be destroyed by Chrissy's actions. It all began with a simple, the internet flew into a frenzy after Camron, who is known for his playful and often unpredictable temperament, posted a mystery message on social media. It's never just about one person, and you have idea, but you believe you know everything. Soon after, a number of old photos that previously showed Camron and Chrissy closer than anybody had previously thought surfaced online, leaving fans baffled as to what Camron was alluding to. The pictures weren't just casual photos, but they seemed to hint at a deeper relationship that had been kept hidden from the public for years. They made people wonder about the nature of Chrissy and Camron's relationship. Had it been more complicated than Jim had ever imagined? What was it that Chrissy had been hiding all this time the internet took off? People started making assumptions about what might have happened behind the scenes and creating their own theories. Some believed that Jim had simply been caught off guard by something he wasn't prepared for, while others suggested that Chrissy and Camron had been having a covert relationship for years. The problem got even worse as the rumors spread. The main focus of the storm was Chrissy, who had been silent up until this point. Was she the victim, or was she guilty of betraying Jim? In the meantime, Jim Jones was beginning to show his feelings more publicly. In a live video, he opened up to his fans, his voice shaking with emotion. He said, "I've spent years building my life with the people I trusted, and now everything seems to be collapsing. Right now, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore. After both Chrissy and Cam betrayed me, I never imagined that I would find myself in this situation, but here I am. I'm done being polite, and this has to do with treachery." The admirers were moved by the pure passion in his voice and showered the comments section with supportive words. But some were critical, wondering if Jim was being too dramatic or emotional, especially in front of the cameras. Chrissy, on the other hand, remained silent for a while. But the pressure was mounting, and she finally spoke after weeks of watching the drama unfold. She said life can present unexpected times. At times you occasionally find yourself in uncon circumstances. Instances, even though I've gone lot. Ugh, a lot. I do everything. Everything. All I want is to find peace and go on. I had no intention of hurting anyone. Her ambiguous message only deepened speculation. Was she trying to put the turmoil out of her mind? Or did she truly feel bad about her involvement in the mess? Fans couldn't decide, and the divide between her supporters and detractors grew, stirred things up again just when everyone thought that everything had reached its peak. He came clean about Chrissy's involvement and created a mysterious video that seemed to tease Jim Camron. In the video, he was seen idly walking down a hallway laughing as if nothing was wrong. He grinned and said, "You all think you know what's going on, but trust me, this is just the beginning. People you believe you can trust aren't always who they seem to be, and sometimes it's too late to repair the harm." His remarks shocked the entertainment industry. Was there more to the story than anyone knew? Revealed what his enigmatic statement meant. New theories were circulating online, but no one could agree on what was truly happening. The matter escalated the next day, and rumors started to circulate that Jim Jones and Camron would finally meet in person. After a period of silence, the two men were now ready to face each other and settle their differences. Jim had said that he was ready for clarification and was not going to back down, but Camron had been acting as on the day of the clash. The media was in a frenzy as reporters arrived, cameras were set up, and fans eagerly awaited the meeting of the two men. Everyone was wondering if they could work things out through conversation or if their feelings would flare up again. If he was in control and giving clues that he was aware of information that the others were not, the strain was unbearable. Fans were tense because they didn't know what would happen next. Would this be the spark that started an even larger explosion? Or would it be the moment when everything was resolved? Even though no one knew what to expect, tension was in the air as Jim and Camron entered the room as the cameras rolled. The weight of their past friendship hung in the air as the two men looked at one another for a while. Her presence at the incident only served to fuel the flames. Would she let the men handle things on their own, or would she try to step in? After a while, Jim was the first to say, "I'm done," he declared in a strong yet passionate voice. "I want answers now." "I don't know what you've been up to, but I won't put up with any more of your antics, and I'm done acting as though nothing is wrong." As Camron stood there, his expression unreadable, the words lingered thick in the air, making it clear that this conversation would not be straightforward. The room was tense as Jim Jones looked down at Camron and waited for a response. With his arms folded across his chest, Camron, who was always unpredictable, slumped back against the wall. There was complete silence for a few seconds before the altercation ended and Jim Jones turned away from Camron, his heart heaving with unresolved sentiments. Even though Jim had no idea what lay ahead for them, he knew that he would be plagued by this experience for a while. What had once been a fraternity had been ripped apart by secrets, betrayal, and the fallout from a single viral video. Jim was certain that his relationship with Camron would never be the same after he left. But he couldn't get rid of the feeling that the worst was still to come. The audience was still waiting for the full story and the resolution to the drama. And the media would eventually return to them, but everything was still out there. The charges, the rumors, the video. Jim knew that the damage was irreparable, no matter what happened next, but he wasn't sure how much more he could handle. As for Camron, he was left standing there alone, wondering if he would ultimately come clean about everything or keep playing the villain. But one thing was certain. The drama between him and Jim Jones had just reached a breaking point, and everyone was watching to see what would happen next in this intense rivalry. What a roller coaster! The relationship between Camron and Jim Jones has been destroyed, and it's evident that this dispute is still going on. If you're still waiting to see what happens next, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. There is more incredible news that you won't want to miss. Click the bell symbol to receive alerts whenever we post new videos that highlight the biggest drama or celebrity news. We would like to know your thoughts on this shocking situation. Do you think Jim was right to approach Camron? Or do you think Camron has a point in all of this? We'd also like to know how you would react. If you were Camron or Jim,